Donald Trump has been making a lot of progress when it comes to his extreme vetting. So the Hill reports here the Trump administration for months has been quietly beefing up extreme vetting procedures for people seeking to enter the United States with visas. So visas. So he's been doing a whole lot of things with his vetting and with visas. So it says here, President Trump signed a little notice executive order last week that rescinded an Obama-era goal to speed up visa processing. By the way, right, the fact that this is an Obama-era goal, I want to point something out that people don't seem to talk about as much as they should be. People on the right, we go after Democrats for being for all of this, like, free immigration, open borders, amnesty. We go after them. But people don't take the time to think about why they push for this stuff. And this might sound like I'm going to come off as like, oh, we should listen to them and try and understand them, where they're coming from. No, you know what I'm trying to say? They want all this immigration stuff. They want all of these open borders and all this free immigration. You know why? Because it gets them more voters. It just gets them more voters. I mean, come on. I mean, think about it. If we had an amnesty, if we had full amnesty for all illegal immigrants that are here right now, and a lot of Democrats want that. They say, oh yeah, amnesty for everyone. That's going to be 11 million illegals, 11 million new voters. Do you think we're ever going to win any election ever if we suddenly have 11 million new Democratic voters? Because think about it, these people, illegal immigrants, they're going to vote Republican. Yeah, I don't think so. They're going to vote Democrat, and they're going to vote Democrat so much. If they pass amnesty, they would instantly turn Texas blue. I can guarantee that. Because it's all about the votes. They don't actually care. They don't actually care about immigration, right? They just want the votes. That's why you have Obama speeding up the visa processing, right? Because he just wants more of them here. He wants more foreigners because they always vote for Democrats. They want them to vote for Democrats against the interest of the natives, us, the Republicans. He wants to screw us over by importing new voters. That's their plan. And no one says that on the right, and it's just weird to me. Why can't you just go ahead and come out and say the reason why they want all this immigration reform, so-called reform? Whenever they say immigration reform, they usually just mean amnesty, right? They mean open borders. Now, I might say immigration reform because there's really no other term, but whenever you hear someone in DC talking about immigration reform, you should be scared. You should be terrified, because that's just a really bad sign. When you have, Jeb Bush during the campaign. Jeb Bush would always say, we need immigration reform. Now, Jeb Bush was so weak on illegal immigration. I mean, Trump said it all the time, but it was true, though. I mean, he was so weak. He was against the wall. He was for amnesty. I mean, he's a disaster. So, what we need, and this also brings me into like what I was talking about before. Why is it that Donald Trump, he does all this stuff for immigration? Why doesn't he brag about it more often? He doesn't brag. Like, people always say, oh my god, Donald Trump, he brags so much. Why doesn't he brag about this? Now, I have an idea as to why. And I think it's because it's a controversial subject. And he doesn't want to spark backlash. That's what I kind of think. I mean, at the same time, I also say, like, why would he care about backlash? He's never cared about it before. So, there's that. But then there's also, that's what I think. Now, here's what I say about that. If it's gonna spark Democratic backlash from liberals and stuff, who cares? It doesn't even matter. If they go out there and they do their marches, hashtag March for Immigrants, and their protests and all that, You know what it's gonna do? It's just gonna embarrass them. It's just gonna embarrass them. Because think about it. I mean, they do their protests, and I've always asked this. I've asked, why? What are you doing your protest for? Like, I know that you're protesting and you want to be heard and stuff like that, but what's your goal? What do you think that protesting is going to do? Realistically, it's going to satisfy yourself. It's going to make you feel like a good person, okay? It's going to satisfy maybe your friends who might think like you. But if you're trying to actually change things, and you're trying to get people to change their minds, you're wasting your time. No one has ever seen a bunch of whiny college kids out on the streets screaming about white privilege, and they thought, you know what? Maybe I should reconsider my conservative positions. No one's ever said that. No one's ever been stopped in the middle of the street on the highway by by a row of people blocking traffic and said, you know what? I feel them. I can definitely feel sympathy for them right now. No, they just feel anger because they're being blocked on the way to work or on their way to their family, or even, in some cases, on the way to save a life when it comes to ambulances that they block in the traffic. So, just let them do it, and let them have their backlash, let them have their marches. Oh, hashtag March for Immigrants. Their marches are useless. Remember when they did the hashtag March for Truth? Where they did a whole march about Russia, and it ended up doing nothing for them? It did nothing for them, because everyone knew that it was embarrassing. Even Democrats, so like, they sort of stayed away from it. And think about it now. And now, the Russia narrative has kind of died. You notice that? With Democrats and with the media, they've been talking less and less about Russia in the past, like, couple months, like, about a couple weeks. Which is either surprising, or it just goes to show that they've changed their strategy after the Georgia special election, where they lost, and they were so confident that they would win. They were so confident. They put so much money into it that it became the most expensive congressional race of all time. They were so confident, and yet they still lost. And then, after that, they sort of had a bit of a revelation. They had a bit of an epiphany. They said, oh my god, guys, maybe people don't like us, because all we do is yell and scream about Vladimir Putin and Russia 24/7. So they've changed up their strategy now, it seems. And even in the media, and this just goes to show how, like, the media is just like the Democrats' puppet, right? Because the media, as soon as they changed as soon as the Democrats, they changed their message, so did the media. The media followed them. You notice that? You notice how there's been less and less Russia coverage in the media lately. And it's because the Democrats, they have decided, you know what, maybe Russia doesn't work when it comes to winning over new voters. So, it's just, so anyway, what I was actually talking about, this whole immigration thing, I'm saying, just let them do their little backlash, right? Because their whole March for Truth did nothing. The March for Science, who remembers that? I mean, these marches happen, and then people forget about them, like, immediately, because they're just like, we laugh at them, and then we just forget about them, because it's just kind of embarrassing for them, like, honestly. It would be overkill if we were still talking about it. If we were still talking about the pussy hats, it would be overkill, because it's just like making the Democrats look bad, because it's just so embarrassing for them. It's just so embarrassing that you have people who are gonna go out and they're gonna protest wearing pink cat hats, pussy hats. How embarrassing is that? It's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, it says here, the brief directive, going back to immigration, the brief directive strikes part of a 2012 order signed by former President Obama that instructed the State Department to ensure that 80% of non-immigrant visa applicants are interviewed within 3 weeks of receipt of application, right? So 3 weeks, which was ridiculous. I mean, it's like an arbitrary number, 3 weeks. I don't know where I mean, I know that there's a lot of things that are arbitrary, But why do you think they wanted it to be so quick? Well, obviously because they wanted to get more people in that were going to vote for Democrats, right? More foreigners. That's their whole thing. More foreigners, more diversity. That's, the most important thing to the Democrats. So he's stopped that. So there's no more of this 3-week limit. You actually can now do proper vetting and proper review of people. It says here about the backlash that have been, not really backlash, but about the concerns from lawyers and business leaders. Wow, what a great group of people to go against this whole thing, right? So it says here, the moves have prompted concern among business groups and immigration lawyers that foreign travelers might shy away from visiting the U.S. due to the new rules. So first of all, I love how they say that, like, oh, we got them. The business leaders and the lawyers are against them, right? That's gonna sway people. No, I don't know why they're so proud of that. Whenever it says, oh wow, a new poll shows that 20%, like 80% of business leaders say that Trump is a bad president, right? I don't know why they tout that, like they're proud of it, because it makes him look good, because it lets him say, yeah, I'm anti-establishment, all these business leaders, they all hate me, right? So obviously, but the media, because they're so out of touch, they tout that as like, oh yeah, we got him. Hey guys, guess what? 90% of business leaders disagree with Trump's policies on this. Got him, right? People don't see that and say, oh wow. Mark Zuckerberg says that Trump is a bad president. You know what? I'm gonna have to reconsider now. I have to change my views. You know what? I've decided to rescind my previous views. I'm over it. Anyone's gonna sit there and say, "Oh my God, no! I can't believe it." Bill Gates, Bill Gates said that Trump shouldn't build a wall. Man, you know what? I think he's right. No one says that. I don't know why the media likes to tout these polls about how, like, oh yeah, the business organizations, they all say that they disagree with this. That just makes Trump look better in the eyes of the people, because they want someone who's anti-establishment. So the idea that this is how you take him down, with all this business leader stuff. Oh yeah, the business leaders say that he's going to be bad for the economy. That just makes everyone says, okay, but we don't trust business leaders, because business leaders and regular people, they have like two separate economies, right? When you're in business and the stock market is doing well, you say, oh my God, look, the stock market is doing so well. I guess the economy is doing well too, right? It's a different thing. That you can have the stock market, not do too well, because you can still have people, normal people, doing better in their lives and having more opportunity and higher wages and income and all that. So it's two separate things. So when business people say, oh my God, he's going to be so bad for the economy, which, by the way, they're not talking about jobs, they're talking about the stock market, right? Stuff like that. And the stock market has been doing so much better since he's won. And there's been all kinds of speculation, right? Everyone's been saying, when is this Trump surge, right? Or when is this Trump rally going to end? Because everyone predicted before the election, they all said, oh, if Donald Trump wins, then the markets will crash, right? They all said that. And then what happened? He won, and the markets, they surged. And they haven't stopped surging since then. They've kept going strong. And they keep on saying, oh, one of these days the bubble's gonna pop. The Trump surge is gonna come to an end. And they're probably right, because bubbles always pop. But at the same time, like, I love how they got it so wrong, and they're still saying, like, oh yeah, he's gonna be so bad for the stock market and for the economy. It's just not true. It's just not true. And second, going back to immigration, I keep getting off from immigration, but I have so many things to talk about, right? Going back to immigration, They say that, oh yeah, foreign travelers might shy away from visiting the U.S. Oh no. Oh no. Foreign travelers are going to shy away from coming to the U.S.? Guys, it's over. Guys, I have to... You know what? I can't support this anymore. Foreign travelers are gonna shy away. Guys, like, I can't support it anymore. You know what? This is over. It's over. They put that in there. Who's gonna sit there and say that? Like, is that a bad thing? Like, oh yeah, foreign travelers are gonna shy away. Isn't that like the point? That we don't want that the foreign travel? I mean, by the way, when did we ever agree to all of this open border stuff? When did we ever agree to having equal immigration from everywhere? We never agreed. That was just the government that said, "Oh yeah, now the president can't restrict immigration from these places." Like, I hate the whole idea. You know, back in the day, we had quotas, we had standards. Now we have nothing. Back in the day, we had Ellis Island. We had, we would make sure that you were, not some kind of degenerate. You're not a communist. You're not an anarchist, right? They would make sure that, hey, if you're gonna come here, we want the best people. I mean, to quote, that's something that Trump would say, right? Like, oh, yeah, we want the best people, but we do. We want the best people. We don't want to import terrorists. We don't want to import communists and anarchists, right? We want to import people who are going to integrate. And I know Democrats, they hate that so much. Oh my God, assimilation, racist. I know they're gonna say that, but look, it's the truth. We need assimilation, and we gotta bring back those old school immigration laws too. We gotta bring back having quotas and being able to prioritize certain countries. Why is it that we can't prioritize our allies? Like, I would much rather have immigrants from Britain and France and Germany and Italy than from Syria and Iraq and Egypt and Mexico. Why is it that we can't prioritize our allies first? They want to talk about, oh, Trump is so disastrous with our allies. Why can't we have our allies first when it comes to immigration? Because I don't want like, would you rather have, right, an immigrant from, say, I don't know, Scotland, or someone from Saudi Arabia? When it comes to the odds of, like, who's going to be a better citizen and who's more likely to be a terrorist, I mean, in the case of Scotland, it's rising because we're having so much immigration to the UK, but just in general, that's what I'm saying. Like, our allies, we can trust our allies, but we can't trust, we can't trust, like, Egypt, and nothing against Egypt, right? Egypt is a great place, but we can't trust people in the Middle East right now because it's such a mess. We have no idea what's going on. So we need to prioritize our allies first if we want to have a nice, fantastic immigration system. Anyway, it says here in the article, even before the latest executive order, there was already evidence that the visa issuances were dropping. As a result of an earlier Trump directive, the State Department is now required to publish monthly statistics on visa issuances. According to that data, the total count of non-immigrant visas issued dropped from 907,000 in March to 735,000 in April. So we have a steep drop right there, and that's something that we love to see, right? We want to see the steep drops. And this is part of his campaign too. This is why I don't know why he doesn't tout about it. He doesn't brag about it as much as he should be. Because this is a big part of his campaign. Like, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and, less immigration, we're going to crack down on visas. So why can't he brag about this? Why can't he come out in there and say, like, hey, look at what we're doing with immigration. We're making great progress. Immigration is probably the one place where he's been just perfect, pretty much. I mean, he's been so good on immigration. I mean, he's been good elsewhere too. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to immigration, it's also because he hasn't faced too much opposition and too much pressure from other groups. And imagine how much more progress we could make if we had both the president with all these orders, and even if we had Congress working with him. Because right now we have Congress, and they don't do anything about immigration because, oh, it's too controversial, so we can't. Like, that's just the worst excuse. But could you imagine if we had Trump working with Congress on immigration, and they were agreeing and working together? Oh my God, it would be a dream. It would be an absolute dream. But we don't get that because Congress is, weak, and President Trump, he's got to work by himself, and he doesn't seem to brag too much. You know what? He might be bringing it up for the campaign, but he doesn't brag too much. And you know what? I would say to him, Donald, this is a great thing that you're doing right now with immigration. Just go out there and just talk about it. Just brag. Like, hey, look at how much the issuances dropped in just 1 month. So he's doing great work, but he should definitely come out and just brag about it. I don't know why he doesn't.